The chairperson of the Commission of Inquiry investigating the August fire at the Usindiso building in Marshalltown in Johannesburg, retired Justice Sisi Khampepe, has recused one of the commissioners, Advocate Thulani Makhubela. This follows an application by residents of the building to have Makhubela recused due to his tweets on social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, that they deemed xenophobic. They argued that Makhubela was not fit to be investigating the matter due to his alleged bias towards foreigners and his association and support for Operation Dudula. The Commission of Inquiry is tasked with investigating the cause of the fire. SABC News reporter Mbali Mthethwa was at the Commission of Inquiry. She joins us now in studio. Mbali, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Just take us through what happened earlier on.
Well, today when the Commission resumed, we heard from the Commission Chair, Justice Sisi Khampepe, who handed down her judgment and who went through the evidence that was presented by some of the human rights lawyers and some of the lawyers representing the survivors of the fire. And what was heard during that hearing is that, you know, the advocate in question was seen to be supporting organizations such as Operation Dudula as well as Put South Africa First, and they believe that these organizations are organizations with an anti-immigration stance, or that have taken an anti-immigration stance, and therefore they feel that this will then impact on his objectivity in participating in the commission. They also believe that they suspect rather that Operation Dudula members might, or allege that Operation Dudula members may have been involved in starting the fire, and this is why they do not want this particular individual to preside over the hearing, especially since the Commission is not only just looking into the cause of the fire, but it's also going to be looking at the prevalence of hijacked buildings and what should then happen and who should be blamed for the fire actually happening, starting out or breaking out in the early hours of that August 31 morning, as well as, you know, they're going to also look at chartering a way forward as to how to deal with the prevalence and the issue of hijacked buildings, who is behind that, and what should then happen in the city in order to manage or better manage these buildings in the inner city.
Okay, Mbali, so that matter has been dealt with. What else emerged?
Well, you know, if we go back to what has emerged in the past, right? In the past, we do understand that we heard from EMS services, who were the first responders on the day of the fire, and they spoke about the fire being one of those extraordinary fires where they found that there were a lot of hazardous materials inside the building, such as plywood, electrical cables, doors that were locked, preventing people from safely walking out or escaping the blaze, and some of them having to jump out of windows in order to escape the fire. That is what we have heard, and there is an element that, you know, it was there was a suggestion that there might have been those illegal connections or the many hazardous materials such as paraffin stoves that could have actually fueled the fire and causing it to flare up to the point that it got to the third floor of the 5-story building. But today we essentially heard from those who also survived this very painful period in our history, really, saying that they were harassed by members of Operation Dudula, and they do not feel comfortable with having someone who has openly supported the group and the organization in public on platforms such as X, formerly known as Twitter, presiding over this Commission of Inquiry. And for this reason, this is why he has been therefore recused. But it's not to say that he is indeed biased. This is an accusation, but the reason that this, you are a lawyer, so
almost, not now.
Yes, there is the perception of bias. They are not saying that he is indeed biased, but because there's already a preconceived notion in his mind that a certain act is wrong, he can no longer then sit and expect an unbiased outcome or judgment from him or input from him. But even though there is that accusation, it is not necessarily meaning that the judgment is saying that he is indeed biased, but it is just saying that there is a preconceived notion around anti-migrant sentiments.
Mbali, we've got about a minute left, but I just want to find out what's set to happen next with that Commission of Inquiry.
Well, so far we are unclear as to what's going to happen next. It should resume next year, I'm sure. But right now it has been adjourned without a clear date and a directive as to when it will adjourn. But we will wait from the commission organizers to then inform the media as to when the commission will resume and what will be heard when it does indeed resume.
Mbali Mthethwa, SABC News reporter, thanks so much for that update on that fire in the Commission of Inquiry.